Hello folks, it's time for some more car news. I'm going to do it in this half and half format. Tell me if you prefer this or my fat head in a circle in the corner of the screen. Let's get cracking. We're looking at AutoExpress and Autocar for all these stories, I think. Honda and Nissan merger collapses. It was hoped the merger would better equip the two firms for a future of EV and software-defined vehicles. It seems they just couldn't agree on the various bits and bobs. Both firms cited the same reasons for the merger failing to materialise, stating that Honda proposed changing the structure from establishing a joint holding company where Honda would appoint the majority of directors and the chief executive, and the joint share transfer as initially outlined in the MOU, to a structure where Honda would be a parent company and Nissan would be a subsidiary through a share exchange. Nissan didn't want any of that. They wanted to be basically 50-50 partners by the sounds of it, and I don't think that was probably ever that likely to happen. Honda were always going to be the bigger player in this, and it looks like they couldn't come to an agreement, unfortunately. It says they will continue their strategic partnership, however, and will continue to work on EVs together. Half of police forces have seen 90+ mile-per-hour drivers in 30-mile-an-hour zones. That's mental. Had a really good chat the other night with Mr. 𝙇𝙄𝙁𝙆𝙎, who is one of my favourites. He's always in the comments, always super positive. Lovely fella, first time I've met him. And another one of my channel members, Jamie, who used to be a copper, and we had a very interesting chat. If you are a channel member, not a subscriber, but a channel member, do join in on some of those video chats. We have a good laugh. Some police forces have even recorded drivers travelling over 160 miles an hour on public roads, actions described as reckless and selfish by officials. Almost half of police forces have caught motorists travelling at more than 3 times the speed limit in 30-mile-an-hour zones, while almost all, 90%, had previously caught people driving in excess of 60 miles an hour, or in other words, double the speed limit. You know, using a bit of excess speed, everyone's done it at some point, but 30-mile-an-hour roads, come on, folks. £90 million of road improvements to cut journey times by up to 25%. These are improvements to a few roads, the A350 in Wiltshire, a couple of areas in Leeds, Aylesbury Link Road in Buckinghamshire, and the A127 A30 interchange in Essex. This is good. You know, I'm the first one to slag off the government when they don't do anything to make any improvements. They are making some improvements, albeit fairly small ones, but hopefully they'll improve your life if you live in one of those areas. Car insurance prices see dramatic fall, but younger drivers see the biggest savings. After a surge in car insurance prices, premiums are now beginning to come down, more for some than others. I think there are several reasons why this will be happening, but one will just be that car values have dropped, and it's as simple as that. Car prices went through the roof, if you remember, just after sort of COVID times, and at that point car prices had never been stronger, and now we're seeing big discounts on even brand new cars. That obviously has a knock-on effect on car insurance prices. There's also a new risk rating system in place that should give insurers a lot more information about cost and time lengths, timescales for repairs. All that kind of stuff's invaluable, and hopefully it will result in a lower premium for you. Trailblazing Tesla Model S and Model X finally axed in the UK. A few left-hand drive examples are still available, but once they're gone, that's it in the UK anyway. Please, someone call me a Nazi for driving a Tesla, and I'd be happy to get another one. No one's done that for at least 5 minutes at the point of making this video. But yeah, the Model S is on its way. I think it's a real shame. That for me is the best Tesla, but we can't buy it here. And for the last little while, we could only buy it as a left-hand drive. The Model X I won't miss because I think it's a bit of an ugly duckling, but actually pretty decent thing, and filled a place in the market that no one else was, which was something with more than 5 seats and a battery. They just don't sell enough of them here. Tesla's supercharger stations to get virtual queues. Arguments over who should charge their car next could be a thing of the past. Hopefully everyone's civilized enough to say, well, you've been waiting, I've just turned up, so you go first. But we're British, aren't we? And we're not always as civilized as we should be. So that seems like a really good idea. And if they do it at charger level, hopefully that avoids the need for each individual charging site to have to implement something and put money into it. And where it can all be controlled through the app, it seems to make quite a lot of sense. New Toyota RAV4 to stick with hybrid power when it arrives later this year. The all-new SUV will focus on hybrid power and an improved cabin, and our exclusive images show what it could look like, but probably won't because it's just what we think it might look like. It didn't say that last bit, but I did. The RAV4 is a brilliant car. If you're in the market for that sort of size SUV, well worth having a look at. Obviously, with a new one coming round the corner, you might want to wait for that. But RAV4 is a pretty safe used buy as well. Really decent cars. You will find on the used ones, though, the infotainment system feels like you're stepping back into the late 90s, perhaps. But aside from that, good things. Folks, just a very quick reminder to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Thanks. BMW bets future on new class EV battery and motor tech. Significant improvements to range, charging and performance in store for BMW's next generation EVs. I hope the final versions look exactly like those two cars because I think they look awesome. I know BMW design can be a bit polarizing at times, but I really like the way both those cars look. BMW claims that the new batteries and electric motors that's coming in this 6th generation eDrive technology is going to give you 30% faster charging and a 30% increase in range over the 5th generation model. So that's the latest stuff that we've got available now. So that would be a significant increase. And this is one of the reasons I often talk about why it's good to lease a new EV or buy a used one that's already done its depreciation. Leasing a new one means that you're pretty much safe. Imagine you've just paid 100 grand for a BMW and they come out with a new one that's now 30% better, essentially, 30% faster to charge, 30% increase in range. What's that going to do to the value of your one? As always, folks, lease new, buy used. New Alpine A110 R70 and A110 GTS mark the beginning of the end for this brilliant sports car. It's the final 12 months before the petrol power sports car is replaced by EV. I've never driven one. They're supposed to be absolutely phenomenal. And yeah, it's not going to be available as a petrol anymore. So they've come out with these special versions. The range topping model is £103,000, which seems absolutely insane for such a small car. And although Alpine's a nice, sporty, enthusiast sort of brand, 100 grand. The GTS version is going to be 67, and the entry level one now starts at £55,000. As you can imagine, the R70 is a race car pretty much. It may be something that's reserved for track days for a lot of people. 296 brake horsepower, turbocharged 4-cylinder petrol engine, produces 340 newton meters of torque. Carbon fibre aplenty just to make it even lighter, so I'm sure it's going to be fun to drive. Banned car number plates, naughty 25 reg number plates deemed too rude for the roads. I love articles like this because I'm a child at heart, despite being getting a little bit older every day. Some of these are actually not that rude. Some of them are fairly obvious and don't need an explanation. But some you think, well, what's wrong with that? Why can't you say that? You can draw your own conclusions. But like Jesus, what's wrong with having Jesus as a number plate? I don't know. Let's keep it nice and light this morning, folks. Have a bit of fun. Think of a nice, rude or suggestive number plate for yourself and stick it in the comments. We'll all have a laugh. The one that gets the most thumbs up will, I don't know, win a thanks. New Tesla Model Y on sale now as pricing and specs revealed. So as many of us thought, the new Model Y came out with a silly price tag for this first edition version. And now normal pricing has resumed for the rest of the range. So the entry level one is £45,000. You've then got the rear-wheel drive long range for £48,990. The long range all-wheel drive at £51,990. And then we'll expect to see a performance version of it a bit further down the line. That will probably be 10 grand more than, I'd imagine that's going to be 61 grand, which is what that first edition is at the moment. So no big surprises there. But if you were waiting to order a new one until the prices came down, they have now come down. I'll put everyone's referral links in the video description for you, just in case you want a little, I don't know, few quid off or whatever they're doing at the moment. Denza is coming to the UK. BYD's premium sub-brand to hit UK showrooms. The brand's first offering to Brits could be its hugely powerful Z9 GT shooting brake estate. I saw a couple of Denza vehicles in Geneva, and they were kind of big people carrier, business class suite on wheels kind of things. Very, very luxurious, very good build quality from what I could see. I imagine these will be six-figure vehicles when they come over here. But this shooting brake estate they're talking about is going to have 1,000 brake horsepower. God only knows what the price will look like on that, but it will be a bit scary. There will be some far more normal vehicles coming from the brand, but that one is very much going after the German giants. New KGM Musso EV is a Tesla Cybertruck rival that you can actually buy in the UK. Now, this is based on the Torres EVX platform. I didn't particularly love the Torres EVX when I reviewed it, although it was better than the petrol version of the car in some respects. I have recently driven the Action, which I believe is also on the same platform, but was a hell of a lot better than the Torres EVX, in my personal opinion. So it'll be interesting to see this one. They haven't said what the how big the truck bed's going to be yet. The current Musso is one of my favourite pickup trucks. I think it's a brilliant thing. So I've got high hopes for this, but an electric pickup, you know, it's new territory over here. Hopefully it will help people that actually really need one of these to do their job, as lots of people do. The chance to get a pickup truck that they need to do their job, that they're not going to have to pay 10 grand a year in company car tax for. And unlike the Maxus EV pickup that's on sale, this one should have all-wheel drive, which obviously, if you need a pickup, you need all-wheel drive. Toyota preparing new MR2 Celica and Lexus supercar, mid-engined MR2, four-wheel drive Celica and V8 Lexus LFA successor on the way. This is brilliant news. I love every one of those cars with all my heart, and I cannot wait to see new versions of them. I think it's brilliant that Toyota, whilst obviously their big focus is on mainstream vehicles for the mainstream, and people accuse them of being a bit bland at times, although exceptionally reliable. They've obviously got to move into EVs in quite a big way quite quickly, but they're still remembering who they are and producing some enthusiast cars as well. And I, for one, can't wait to see them. Chips ahoy, why computing giants suddenly care about cars. £2.7 trillion US tech giant NVIDIA's new onboard computer could reshape the future of motoring. If you don't know, I think NVIDIA are the biggest company in the world. If not, they're definitely top 3 or something. And their chips and their tech, their software is in some capacity in Tesla, Volvo, JLR, Mercedes-Benz, BYD, Hyundai and more. Well, that's only going to step up, and the computing power required by cars in future is only going to step up as they become more and more smart, and of course autonomous driving becomes commonplace. NVIDIA are exceptionally well placed to take full advantage of this changeover to autonomous driving and smart production. So they are really taking a keen interest in the automotive space, which already is worth over £4 billion a year to them. So expect to see more NVIDIA mentioned in car releases and things in future. Who is Forseven, a new UK startup made of top industry talent? This is a British EV startup company, and it's backed by basically the Abu Dhabi government. So they've got a few quid about them, and they're snapping up some big names, but doing it very quietly, including lots of people that were senior executives at Jaguar. There's no concept car that's come out. It's all very quiet at the moment, but we might be seeing that name a bit more often in future. So eyes peeled on that. I'll keep you updated as and when I find anything out. Toyota to reveal new electric crossover next month. Brand's third EV is expected to be the production version of the 2022 rakish BZ compact crossover concept. We really need a very, very good, compelling EV to come from Toyota, or Toyota needs it anyway. Because it's just fallen a little bit by the wayside, has it not? Certainly on the EV front, though they're still producing brilliant hybrids, and they shouldn't be knocked for doing that, I don't think. I'll keep my powder dry on that until we learn a bit more. Used EVs becoming cheaper than the equivalent ICE cars. Battery electric used cars now significantly cheaper than diesels and narrowing the gap to petrols. Cox Automotive, which owns Mannheim Auctions, has reported a stabilisation in used vehicle prices, especially for EVs, which are now typically cheaper to buy than equivalent diesels, free of the economic volatility that dogged them earlier in the decade. Cox are forecasting that used EV sales will grow by 117.5% by 2028, and added that dealers, many of which recently shunned second-hand EVs due to their price volatility and even introduced buying bans, had begun to acknowledge their value, as they were typically selling faster and performing well, while cheaper examples could look like real bargains. So good news if you want to get into one. If they're not for you, fine. Outgoing Lucid boss explains why most EVs suck. Peter Rawlinson's uniquely dissenting views help turn Lucid into a tech leader. Okay, so it's a bit of a clickbait title, that one, but basically he says a good EV should be focusing on performance and efficiency, and lots of companies are not doing that. And basically most EVs suck. He's saying everything other than Lucid to a degree, because Lucid cars give you exceptional efficiency without sacrificing any performance, and that's the gist of this article. And he said so many manufacturers out there are boasting about having this range and that range, but they're putting massive battery packs into cars. And that's bad because it uses more power to fill up those battery packs, and of course uses more resources to make those batteries. And he said many more companies should be following Lucid's example, and he says they're at the forefront of efficiency. And I agree with all that. I think it sounds brilliant. Let's have more efficient EVs. New Volvo ES90 to offer 434 miles of range. The new saloon will be revealed on the 5th of March as a new technological flagship. Looks lovely. I don't know how many saloon cars we still sell in the UK, but it's nothing like it used to be. But that's a great looking thing. Recharging equivalent of 186 miles in 10 minutes. So that's 800 volt architecture as is being used in the X90. But the battery management software means it will be capable of refilling its battery much quicker. But the reason I've put this after that Lucid story is because this has got 434 miles of range, but it's got an 111 kilowatt battery, which is absolutely massive. That's almost twice the size of the battery in my Tesla, I think. So we can get these big ranges through big batteries, but actually big range, smaller battery makes more sense for everyone. A few Kia stories now. Lots of news coming out from Kia this week. The EV2 concept has been previewed. Lots of people got sent over to, was it Barcelona, to go and walk around one of these and have a prod around. Unsurprisingly, I wasn't one of them. It's being positioned as a Renault 5 rival, and I suppose this is their Hyundai Insta, if you like. But it looks great. I think that looks awesome. I don't know what you think. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, but that looks like a very funky, robust little Tonka toy of an EV. Big chunky wheels. Everything about it is big and chunky and wow, nice. They're also working on the EV1 as a Renault Twingo rival. Not too much information on that at the moment. They showed us the PV5 van, which will be the first electric van coming from Korea, I believe. Looks absolutely fantastic. Semi sort of modular platform by the looks of it. And it seems they are working on a sort of VW California rival. And certainly there'll be a stripped out one available for people that want to do conversions. But that could be phenomenal. I saw a concept of this at Paris or Geneva or both. I can't remember which. But it looks absolutely great. And this production version of it doesn't look that much different. And the best part is they say it's going to cost less than a diesel Transit at 30,000 euros, which is about 25 grand, obviously plus VAT. It's going to be single motor front wheel drive. The top spec version, there's going to be different batteries available basically. And the largest one's going to give you 249 miles of range. What it will be when it's fully laden, I don't know. It's on 400 volt architecture, and that should give you 10 to 80% in about half an hour, no matter which of the battery packs you go for. No idea of pricing on the one with the bigger battery pack, and indeed, nor indeed, if that pricing that we're seeing here, 30,000 euros, is actually going to be reality by the time it gets to the UK. And finally, we've got the EV4 saloon, a Tesla Model 3 rival with 391 miles of range. It's a bit of a challenging looking thing, I would say. I'm not falling in love with the look of that. Front end looks great. Back end, the jury's out in my book. From just under £31,000 with ranges up to 391 miles. That £31,000 I assume is for the entry level, which is going to be 267 miles. But I'm sure you'll see much more about those vehicles by people that have actually gone and seen them somewhere. Thanks for watching the video. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so. It really does help. Obviously, memberships are great as well. A couple of quid a month. You get some of the videos a bit earlier. Every once in a while, we do one of these members video calls that are great fun. So maybe give that some thought. If not, don't, and just have a great Sunday. I'm recording this on Friday, and the weather's lovely at the moment. So I hope that's extended over the weekend to wherever you are. Keep safe. Come back for more. See you on the next one. Huge thanks to all my channel members for your continued support. I really do appreciate it.